Hi everybody, this is Jeremy. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about how to create an investor policy statement, or an IPS, for dividend investing. Every investor should have an investor policy statement. An IPS is a written statement of your goals, risk tolerance, asset allocation, investing philosophy, and other criteria that will help guide your investing process. Having a clearly defined IPS will help you stay in a good mindset when the market crashes or a dip happens. Do you remember how you felt back in February and March of 2020? Or did the market sell off in 2022 cause you to stress out? Did you panic, worry, sell everything, or were you celebrating? If you had a defined IPS, this market volatility would not have mentally affected you because you knew you could stick to your plan. The IPS can also keep you level-headed when the market is booming. By sticking toward your asset allocation, your risk profile, and focusing on your long-term goals and not selling out in fear of a future crash. Having an IPS takes out some of the emotion from investing. Now, we are dividend growth investors. Our timeline is very long, maybe even multi-generational. I cannot imagine taking this journey without a roadmap. So you're probably saying, this sounds great, but how do you set one up? So we're going to talk about the main criteria that is needed for your investor policy statement. The first thing to determine is that it should be written down. Now this can be typed or handwritten. You should have it readily available for review, especially when times get tough. You should include your spouse or significant other in your planning. There's no sense of having a plan if you both aren't on board. And your IPS can change throughout the years. And to be honest, it probably should. So let's talk about what to include in your investor policy statement. The first thing you should include is your objectives. Why are you investing? What is this money going to be used for? That will help provide a high-level overview of what you're doing and what the objectives are of this portfolio. The next thing to think about are your goals. So you're going to want to pick some short and long-term goals. For instance, I want to add $100 a month to the account, or I want to have $6,000 in dividend income in the next 5 years, or I want to retire on dividend income in 20 years' time from now. Remember, this is your plan and these are your goals. Make them your own. The third thing is the philosophy. What is this account going to be all about? In my case, dividend growth investing, but for everyone else, it may be slightly different. Are you looking for low yield, high dividend growth, or high yield, low growth? Do you want ETFs or individual stocks? Are you willing to invest in other things outside of dividend stocks? It's totally up to you. You determine the philosophy you're going to take for the particular investment plan. The next thing you should consider is your risk and return expectations. Are you looking to maximize your total return or focus on the dividend income only? Do you want to be very low risk or do you want to shoot for the moon? Do you want to track the market with your returns or do you just want to have a certain dividend yield? Again, set your risk and return expectations so that you're not enticed to stray from your plan and go into things that don't make sense for you. The next thing on the plan should include investment selection criteria. So with this, you have to determine what stocks would you consider? What criteria does a company need to have before investing? Or what happens if something about the company changes? You also want to look at your asset allocation. How much of each company will you have in your portfolio? Would you also consider bonds, real estate, growth stocks, cryptocurrencies, or gold in addition to your dividend stocks? And what are you going to do during drawdown? Now, we don't plan on taking money out of our account. We hopefully will just live off the dividends, but not everyone has that goal and not everyone has that reality. There might be times where you need to draw down your account in the future. So you need to determine when and why you would start using the dividend income, and would you be willing to sell any of the assets in the account, or are you planning on only using the dividends? This is the end point. This is when you need the money to live off of. How are you going to use the money that you've been accumulating over all these years? And the last category is other. And in the other, you should consider about rebalancing. Do you sell your winners and allocate to the stragglers, or do you let your winners run? And what is your investing universe? What are you willing to invest in or not invest in? Are there certain industries, sectors, or individual companies that you want to stay away from? Remember, this is your plan. This is your roadmap. The more you put into it, the better your outcome will be. Without a roadmap, it will be hard to get to your destination. Next, I want to talk about my personal investor policy statement. Now, in a previous video, I said that depending on your timeline, might require different plans and different yield choices, which this video is showing on the screen now if you want to take a look. But with that in mind, my personal portfolio is split into two. I have two main goals. The first one is to utilize my brokerage account in about 8 years' time, that I can let my wife retire early and that I can eventually retire as well prior to the normal traditional retirement age. My second goal and my second IPS is for my retirement assets and my retirement years, which is about 18 years from now. So my first one is called Operation Fired, which is financially independent, retire early through dividends. And my second one is Operation Live Happy, Wild, and Free. And this is going to be my fun money, my extra money in retirement that I can go to a foreign country for a month, that I can bring my kids over for the summer. Whatever it takes, this is my fun money. For today's video, I'm only going to focus on number one, Operation Fired, to give everyone an example of an investor policy statement that you might be able to utilize. So the primary goal of this account is to create enough passive income to be work optional and not have to rely on employment, to be able to live off the dividends produced by June of 2031 and be fully retired by June of 2036. The secondary goal is to create generational wealth for my children and grandchildren by only spending the dividend income produced by the portfolio. My strategies or philosophy is this is a dividend-focused account, and all holdings will pay a dividend. I will be contributing weekly to the best values or to positions that need to be increased. In my next video, I'll be talking about my 2024 investing plan and which holdings I plan on adding to in the new year. So be on the lookout for that soon. Also, my allocation targets will be maintained in this account for all the holdings to ensure proper diversification and risk management. My income goal is X amount of dollars in annual dividend income by June of 2036. The funding will be funded through my earned income with my employer, the reinvestment of dividends, and options premiums received might go to buying more investments. The goal is to invest X amount of new money each year into dividend-paying companies and funds. The funding goal will be revisited each December. I'm currently discussing with my wife what our plans are for the upcoming year, and I think we've set a pretty realistic but strong goal of how much money we want to add to this account next year. My risk return expectations is capital appreciation is nice, but is not expected to be any more than market averages for this particular account. So as long as the account returns approximately what the market does on a long-term basis, I'll be more than happy. Now, when selecting stocks, there are certain investment selection criteria that I'll be utilizing. Stocks should have paid a dividend for at least 5 years if I'm going to be investing for dividend purposes. ETFs and closed-end funds will be the primary focus of this account. But if I do invest in individual companies, at the time of purchase, individual stocks should have combined yield plus a 5-year dividend compound annual growth rate equal to 10. 12 is more preferred. So if the current yield of a new dividend investment is 5%, I'd be looking for dividend growth of at least 5% to 7% to hit that 10 to 12 number. The initial yield at purchase should be a minimum of 3%, and the overall portfolio yield of this account should be 5% or more. I like to be very diversified in my investment portfolio, so I'll be holding between 20 and 50 holdings in this account, and no single stock will be more than 5% of the portfolio. And I'll be willing to invest in all sectors of the economy, except for the energy sector. And I will also not be investing in any kind of tobacco-related companies or prison companies. All dividends in this portfolio will be paid out in cash and reallocated manually. The portfolio characteristics will include, again, no more than 5% in any one holding and no more than 15% in any one sector. I will not be holding bonds in this account at this time, but ETFs and closed-end funds will be considered. I'm also a very strong option seller, so covered calls and cash secured puts will be used to generate additional funding sources. I have a goal of X dollars a month in premiums from my options process, and all option premiums will be invested into more options contracts to grow that part of my portfolio, with the goal of eventually utilizing that options contract income to be adding to my dividend portfolio. My selling guidelines include that I will sell any holding if the dividend is suspended or canceled, and I'll invest those proceeds in other dividend-paying companies and funds. Lastly, drawdown. Once the portfolio is used to live on, all dividends will be collected in cash and will transfer needed funds into a spending account. All remaining dividends will be reinvested. In conclusion, your IPS is your investing roadmap. This process of dividend investing is a very long-term process. The IPS will give you a roadmap on how to get to your final destination and keep you on track during the bumps in the financial road. Thank you very much for watching. I look forward to talking to you in our next video. But in the meantime, please check out the video that's appearing on your screen right now. And please reach out to us on our website at dividendstockpile.com or hit me up on X at divstockpile. Thank you. Have a great day.